Now on Indianapolis This Week, he became the face of the corporate fight against the Religious Freedom Act. So what is Republican Bill Osterly saying about Governor Pence's run for re-election? Our exclusive interview with the former chairman of Angie's List. Plus, he helped lead the charge to get rid of nuclear weapons in the former Soviet Union. Now former Senator Richard Lugar joins us to talk about the U.S. nuclear deal with Iran. And the second Republican presidential debate in the books. What happens now to the field of candidates?
From RTV6, the Indy Channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
Thank you for joining us for Indianapolis This Week. Right now, we are also on Twitter. Our account at Indy This Week. Please join the conversation. So let's get started. A huge Sunday with the man who led the corporate charge against the Religious Freedom Act. Bill Osterly, the former CEO of Angie's List, now on a new mission, changing Indiana's political landscape. He just launched a group called Tech for Equality that will support civil rights for all Hoosiers. Bill Osterly is our Sunday morning exclusive. We welcome in now Bill Osterly. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Rafael.
It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
It's been 6 months since the debate of the Religious Freedom Act took Indiana to the international levels. Have we recovered from that debate?
Well, I don't think so. Not yet. I think we came up with a temporary fix that kind of kicked the can down the road a little bit, and I think that's all going to come back. That debate will continue this legislative session. I think everyone's kind of aware that's going to be a big issue.
So what you said, we've kicked it down the road.
Yeah.
How should that debate look like when the legislature reconvenes in January?
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be a very interesting attempting to balance religious freedoms with the rights of the LGBT community. It's not an easy issue, and they almost inherently run in conflict in some places. But I think clearly Hoosiers do not support discrimination against anyone. All the polling says that Hoosiers aren't fundamentally bigoted people, and so I think ultimately the legislature has to find the leadership that the LGBT community just needs clear protection. There have been too many examples where they've suffered discrimination. We need to clean that up, and I think ultimately it will have to be a simple, clean solution. A simple 4 words and a comma to provide protection for housing, to provide protection for job security, and public accommodation, which is sort of temporary housing. So those are the standard protections that are given to all sorts of different groups, and we need to extend them to the LGBT community.
We saw a corporate tsunami on the issue of RFRA, and you became the face when you were the leader of Angie's List. Why is that? Why did you take on this charge along with the NCAA and Salesforce and another of other entities, Eli Lilly and Company, but you became sort of the guy that said this is wrong?
My entire career working in Indianapolis, both in politics and in business, and the biggest problem and opportunity we have simultaneously is to attract and retain talent to the state. We must have talent. We have to grow it, we have to hang on to it, and we have to go get it. We're fighting to hang on to that talent and to attract it. And when you begin to declare that you're a closed community, that you're willing to tolerate discrimination, that sends a message to the rest of the world that you're not open. And sadly, that was the damage that was done by RFRA in the international community. It wasn't just restricted to regional, it was national, it was international. Papers in China and Germany were commenting on Indiana as a closed society, and I know that Indiana is an open, welcoming, wonderful place that is tolerant. It's a place of opportunity for everyone. And we were being mischaracterized because the leadership was not representing us well. We were being mischaracterized.
Is that the governor and
the governor, the legislature, they allowed this issue. They allowed this issue to get well beyond what it should have been. They allowed special interests to dictate the agenda, and fundamentally that tarnished the rest of Hoosiers in the state and Republicans generally. I'm a Republican. With an image of being discriminatory.
Let's talk about politics, because you said when you stepped down from Angie's List that you wanted to have a bigger voice in the movement, in the political movement. Have you decided what that voice is, and what's that going to look like?
Well, I know some traditional things from politics. You have to recruit good candidates, you have to raise money, and you have to put together organization. And so I am going to be working on all three of those things. I believe the Republican Party is a party of opportunity. It's a party of free markets and free people with limited government. And the Republican Party needs voices that adhere to those principles to be active, to say something. Because unfortunately, some members of the party that feel very differently are about exclusion and about they're loud. And so I intend to be putting together, gathering up Republicans who represent these principles. It is a red state, but there is a substantial number. The plurality now is people who split their ticket. So to succeed in statewide office here, you must understand that you have to govern for everyone. You can't govern for special interests. The algebra politics of special interest A plus special interest B plus special interest C, those don't work anymore. And Governor Daniels proved this.
Your governor,
yes,
that you worked
the governor that I worked for demonstrated
he
this.
was not interested in social issues per se. He did not want to pick fights on social issues. The current governor does believe that he has a right to voice his concerns on this issue and other social issues. Is that a mistake?
Well, again,
I'm talking about Governor Pence.
Yes, I mean, no one will. People want you to have opinions on issues, but you have to also demonstrate an ability to accommodate lots of opinions on issues, and you have to look for areas of consensus. And if you look for areas of division, that will be problematic. And one of the greatest things that Mitch did when he was driving in that RV around the state, he stated the first day he went into it, everyone is welcome on this RV. Everyone. And because he understood fundamentally that to be governor, you had to govern everyone. And that is a powerful, powerful political concept. And I believe it's a winning one. It can be deployed. I still believe the governor is in a position he can demonstrate leadership in this session. He has the ability to pull people together and to come to the right solution. I would like to see him do that. I hope he will. He would have my full support.
So do you think he should be reelected? Should he get a second term?
Well, I want to see how he handles some of these topics that are going to be in front of him. If he can exhibit the kind of leadership that governors are expected to do, then yeah, of course he deserves the right to be reelected. But he has to do that. He has to step up and do it.
That's all right. Thank you for your time. Please come back on the program again.
I would love to.
Thank you.
Rafael, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We reached out to Governor Pence's campaign communications director, Robert Vane, telling us Governor Pence welcomed Bill's support and appreciates all his contributions to our state. He respects his views and hopes that Bill can be part of a constructive conversation in the days ahead. Coming up, he's a leading voice around the world in the fight to get rid of nuclear weapons. Now, former Senator Richard Lugar is here to talk about the deal with Iran. That exclusive interview is next on Indianapolis This Week on RTV6. Hollowell, Republican, Lara Beck, Democrat. We heard moments ago from Bill Osterly. He's formed the Tech for Equality. Will his movement be heard? Is he a force to be reckoned with?
Well, I mean, I think he obviously has proven that he is a force. Admittedly, Bill is a friend of mine, but I think that what this comes down to is he's putting together a coalition, and we'll see how many people are part of that coalition and what they do with it. It's a strong message that they're taking to communities across the state, or that they're planning to take, and you know, we'll see as it unfolds.
Should Republicans fear him?
I don't know if Republicans should fear him, but I do think they should probably listen to him. I think he comes from a business background with Angie's List, as well as having a successful campaign for Mitch Daniels, which he led the first time around. And so I think they really should listen to him because I think he's speaking from a place of reason, and I also think he's speaking from a place of inclusion. And it'll be interesting to see who gets involved in this, if he does bring some Democrats on as well, if it's not just Republicans. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch.
Well, I think it's about a certain sector, right? It's about the tech industry specifically, so I don't know that it's a partisan organization.
Yeah, but I mean, and the tech sector is one that we're seeing really growing in Indiana, and so many people work in it, so it's important to watch.
Latest poll numbers show that the governor's approval ratings in the 30s. Are you worried about that number?
Well, first of all, I don't know that that is a number, and I think it's probably not. I mean, I don't think we've seen a poll number that shows that specifically. These are rumors that are being reported. So that first, I don't accept the premise.
So you don't like the number?
I don't think that's the number. But you know, I think if you talk to folks with the governor, they acknowledge that next year is going to be a challenge, and they are preparing for that.
You
so
like
everyone
the number.
expects it to be a tough campaign.
You like the number?
Well, I don't know. I'd say I'd like the number. I think that politics.
You embrace the number.
I would embrace the number.
We haven't even seen an actual poll that says this. So I mean, it's really all a big rumor.
Well, I think though, when you say that we know that his numbers, based on a poll that Bill Osterly had commissioned last summer, we know those numbers weren't good. Then you hear this rumor, which might be a rumor, there may be some truth to it. Typically, if you're on the inside of a campaign, you're not leaking poll numbers, which is something that is concerning. I would imagine though that it probably is pretty low based on what we're hearing. But the challenge that Pence is going to run into is we're still talking about RFRA, and we continue to talk.
Let's talk about the GOP presidential debate. Fiorina, Trump, who won, who lost? Will this field shrink? Let's start with Trump. Is he going to stay any longer?
I think potentially he has peaked.
You think?
I do. I think potentially he has peaked, and it was Carly's night. I think Carly Fiorina exceeded expectations and did an incredible job, and certainly put him in his place. And you know, as I tweeted, I wish that we could cut the stage in half and just narrow this down to 5 or 6 people, so that we can get more substance in this, and so that these debates aren't dominated by what Donald Trump said about someone that was ridiculous and rude and disrespectful.
You were put off how the men treated Ms. Fiorina on stage.
It was a little bit. I really do. I agree with Jen. I think it was really her night. I mean, she did a terrific job, and as I was sharing with Jen before we went on today, I read her book several years ago, and I found her to be a really compelling person.
Do you want her to go against Hillary? Is she the one that's going to go up against Hillary? Will she be the nominee, maybe?
Democrats cannot want her to go against Hillary.
She could go against Joe Biden.
Especially when you see the news show about numbers.
She should go about Joe Biden.
Hillary Clinton, the majority of Americans think that she is dishonest. Those numbers came out last week. I think it was
this might be
around
from townhall.com,
70%. And the first 3 words used to describe her, among a majority of Americans, by the way, was liar, dishonest, unethical, or
You got 10
untrustworthy.
seconds to counter that. Go ahead.
I think Hillary Clinton is just going to be fine against anyone she runs against, but it was Carly Fiorina's night, and if the men continue to treat her the way they treated her, it's going to be tougher for them.
This man treats you both with great respect.
We
the
know.
conversation between our insiders continues on Twitter. Check our Twitter handle. Stay up with Miss Lara, Miss Jennifer, and our entire team. And of course, we're on all the time. You can follow us on our Twitter account at Indy This Week for news and updates every day of the week. You're watching Indianapolis This Week on RTV6.